Hello, good evening, and welcome to About the Valley. And my guest this week is none other than Joe Mangiacotti.
Joe Mangiacotti, and of course
Mangiacotti.
Teddy is with us here, right?
And Teddy,
Yeah,
of course, little
the
Teddy.
infamous Teddy.
You would have seen him if you went to Pet
Pet
Rock.
Rock and Woodstock. We do those two every
Yeah,
year. But
and
this year
both were virtual, right?
yeah, well, we did a video. I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw it, but
No, I
Jeannie
didn't.
had us do a video, Teddy and I, from the studio. So if you watched the online version virtual, you would have seen Teddy and I just kind of greeting everybody and saying, donate, raise some money. Yeah.
Been a world of virtual gatherings this year
That's going, I think that will change
and
so
Zoom
much.
meetings.
Yeah. I mean, I just did like 3 back-to-back Zooms before I came here,
Yeah.
and they were actually all recording sessions. There was one, actually 4, because one was a board meeting, but 3 interviews for the shows to put together, back to back, just the audio, because the Zoom audio is great for that,
Yeah.
broadcast quality. So
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing Zoom meetings now, well, since March, with the planning board.
yeah,
The only thing I don't like is I like face to face.
yeah,
Whoever I'm dealing with, be it a developer or a a citizen, whatever. I believe to be able to, I like to talk to people.
yeah.
That's why I don't agree with this idea they had about a
Oh.
virtual debate. I mean, come on.
Okay, well, yeah, I got to tell you something. I noticed the logo isn't up this time.
No, we.
Yeah. Yeah, so we tell people that it's Saturday and Sunday
Aaron, if you
mornings.
can find the logo, can you put it in there?
Saturday and Sunday mornings, 6 to 8 on
Yes.
AM 830 WCRN, and live streaming on the TuneIn app for the Joe Mangiacotti show. So,
And Thursday after
and-
Thursdays at 11 to noon.
right, but that's not my show. I'm on Making Money Last with Jerry
Right.
Doherty as a political commentator for his Political
It's
Thursdays.
pretty interesting.
So yeah, actually I filled in for Jerry today and had a really great time with it. And it was a good show. We covered a lot, but of course, how can you not? If you're into politics and you are a political commentator and talk show host,
Yeah.
this has been the best year ever
Oh, I know.
for you.
Oh my God.
And last night, the thing that happened this morning with the Commission on Presidential Debate, CPD, comes out at 7:30 this morning with this idea, this announcement that it will be a virtual debate next week. Well, first of all, they don't really have that unilateral authority to just make these decisions. They did not consult
Right.
either camp,
You're
Trump
supposed
or
to
Biden.
negotiate with both camps on
Neither
what
one
you're gonna
it was
do.
discussed with. They just announced it, and even the Biden camp had no idea this was going to
No,
happen,
it was a
and
shock
said,
to them.
and they even Biden camp said, well, maybe can we move it back a couple days? I mean, they seemed to be caught as surprise.
Right.
And so why? So my question is, why would you make this unilateral decision without consulting the campaigns that you're supposed to be orchestrating? You don't have the authority. You're there to handle the logistics and keep it fair, which obviously we know that's not capable because of Donna Brazile in 2016. We know
Yeah.
that the
Yeah, she
Democratic primary was rigged,
Yeah.
and Donna admitted to what she did. So we know that can't happen.
Yeah, she gave
what
the
they-
answers. She gave the questions to
absolutely.
Hillary and that.
Why do you think they make a point to say neither one of the campaigns have been giving these questions before tonight? Because it happened in 2016.
I
Now,
still
to-
wonder about it.
Now, to come out and make this announcement, what's the reason? First of all, let's examine the fact that everybody on the Commission for Presidential Debates are either very active Democrats that are donors, because it's not like you can't find that out, folks, or Republicans who have publicly spoken out against Trump and do not like him at all. So there's no allies on the Presidential Commission at all. And I think that most people, unless you're extremely partisan, agree that Pence, if you're going to declare a winner, would have been the winner of the debate. He was extremely presidential last night. And as far, Kamala, I totally, in my opinion, fell short of looking, she did not look president, she didn't even look senatorial, okay?
No.
You could tell when she was on her heels. You could tell what she rehearsed. You could tell that she was looking, like, well, the whole thing with the I'm speaking now, that would have worked very well if it was anybody but Pence.
Yes, because he's so cool.
He's cool, calm, and he said, okay. And he did a great strategy, that, as far as I'm concerned. And that is, he waited. And when he was asked the next question and it was his time, instead of going into it, he just went back to it.
Yes.
He went back to the question and rectified her lie or her mistruth there. And that's why that didn't work. You know, you could tell she practiced saying it because of the presidential debate, right? She thought she was going to be able to use this, and it didn't work. I'm sorry, Kamala, didn't work this time. You came off looking a little silly.
And he had, this line has been used by him in the past, but it's a great line about you're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts.
Loved it. And there was at least 2 occasions, but I have to go check the tape again. I know that there were at least 2 occasions where he said this, which is another way of saying you're lying.
Right,
You're full
exactly.
of it. You're entitled to your
It's
opinion,
a nice way
but
of
not
saying
your
you're
own
lying.
facts. And she constantly, but she would say, when she would come out and say, you know, this has been the worst administration, as if it was fact. I mean, good for her to pull it off. But somebody needs to really question her and say, exactly why do you call it the worst administration? Because by most
They never say that.
by most metrics, it's a fantastic administration. Unemployment, household income has gone up, the stock market, right? Factory jobs, companies returning, the fact that trillions of dollars return to the country because of the corporate income tax. I mean, when you look at all of the normal markers that you use, this has been an extremely successful
Someone says to
administration.
me the other day, the market dropped 400 points. I says, yeah, it's
And
still higher than it was when Obama was president.
Yeah, exactly. The point is, right before the pandemic hit, we were about to hit 30,000.
Yes.
We were at the highest it's ever been. So the fact that, you know, we lose some, we did go down and we come back up and we're hovering the 27, 28,000 mark. Look, that is fantastic. So all that money you lost when the pandemic hit, if you kept your cool and you're fine, you're okay. You're recovered. You're back to it, okay?
Did you hear what happened in China?
A lot of things.
During-
Narrow that one down.
During the debate? They played the debate.
Oh.
Anytime Pence said something bad about China,
Oh, they censored it, yeah. But that's
a-
normal.
a,
That is normal,
a
folks.
camera pattern came up on the screen. Like you remember those from the old days.
Old days, yeah.
And
I did hear
then it
about
would
that.
go back again.
Yeah, yeah. And what does that tell you right there? Because actually, I think Pence was brilliant in pointing that out when she tried to talk about the trade war, the war. Well, I got news for you, Kamala. All trade deals are in essence trade war. I mean, you know, you're a senator. Well, you should know this stuff.
Every country's looking out for the best for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Or even how to get up on another
Yeah.
country like they've been doing to America for decades. So when Pence put it to her about Biden, I mean, he didn't even show up for the war. I mean, he rolled over for the
But-
Chinese. And this is another thing where the media is not. Could you imagine if Don Jr. did the things that Hunter Biden had done, had the
Oh,
deals in
my
the foreign
God.
countries? Now, I know people are going to say, well, you know, Trump has been. Yes, the Trumps have been doing business all over the globe long before going into politics, and not because of the politics. They have been respected international business people for decades. It has nothing to do with this. Now, Hunter, who has no discernible skill whatsoever or knowledge in any of these industries, has sold access to his father and or the protection of the name.
Well, remember the New York Times said we got his tax returns and they released them, said he only paid $750 in taxes. How come we haven't heard any more about it?
Because it's all legal, first of all, folks. It's all legal.
But the thing is, all you heard before the tax returns came out, he doesn't want to release them because it'll show all the dealings he's had with Russia.
There's no dealings.
There was nothing.
No.
There was nothing there.
Look, guys, let me explain something to you if you haven't figured this out. If you are a high-profile person and dealing in the billions of dollars and your taxes aren't straight, you're going to know it. The IRS is going to know it. The fact that he's never had to, you know, deal with the IRS that way, and the fact that they've actually have literally returned millions of dollars to him, you know they've gone over his tax return with a fine-tooth comb. I'm not interested in Donald Trump's taxes. I am interested in Joe Biden's.
But if you understood how taxes work, his corporations have paid taxes.
But we're talking
As
about
an
that
individual,
income tax,
he doesn't.
right? But let's not forget the payroll tax the thousands of people he employs, the
Right.
real estate taxes, the sales taxes,
Well-
the service taxes, the withholding taxes. I mean, just the amount of taxes that come in. And then the money, if he's paying $750 or getting a return, that's because the money that he has put into the market, into the economy, right, has been a write-off of somehow or goes against it, which means that there are thousands of people employed, all paying income tax,
Yes.
all paying FICA, all paying sales tax, excise tax on the cars they're able to buy, right? Meals tax on the restaurants they're able to dine in. So that's all happening. The fact is that Trump himself, I can't even begin to figure out how to calculate what he is responsible for generating in New York taxes,
Yeah.
federal taxes, Florida taxes. I mean, taxes on aircraft and helicopters,
You
I mean,
imagine
golf courses.
what he pays the city of New York in permits and taxes every time you put up a building?
Just the fact that he turned his residence to Florida, guys. I mean, that's a big. And you know, Cuomo and De Blasio, no problem. We're glad to see him go. Yeah, well, the problem is all the other billion and millionaires have caught on to this. And the other thing is, as you started out with, what the COVID situation has proven to us is business can be conducted remotely and over Zoom, and we don't necessarily have to have all the brick and mortar that we have. Maybe we don't need to have $32 a square foot spot in downtown, sit in the cities of downtown, right? And now the ripple effect of that, Harry, is going to be people say, well, I can maybe live where I want to live, not where I have to live.
That's what they're not talking about, what COVID has really done. It's opened the eyes to a lot of business people that, hey, we don't have to have these people coming in, renting all this huge office space.
Mm-hmm.
They can stay home, we save money on office space, we get more productivity.
Well, on that, right, and actually, I because I've studied this, and I've had, and you might have met Deborah Drew, she's a regular guest for me. Her master's thesis was actually on remote working. And one of the things about this is that basically every study that's ever been done on this has come out that if you take a typical office situation, office worker working in an 8-hour day, the productivity is just under 4 hours. So let's round it up to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Let's say that out of an 8-hour workday in an office situation, you really only get 4 hours of actual work. When you deduct the coming in, the small talk, the trips to the bathroom, the lunch, the chit-chat, the waiting for the meeting to get going, all of the things that add up, half the day is gone.
Yeah.
And every study has shown that's that case. And on the other side of it, productivity is up because they have no distractions. And there's something to be said, Harry, about if when you're granted the permission to work from home, you want to make sure that you produce the work. You don't want to be accused of slacking off.
Right.
You don't want to be accused of taking advantage of the situation. So the work productivity has gone up in a lot of these cases with the quarantine. And businesses are realizing, hey, we don't need this brick and mortar. We don't need to pay this, right? So leases are being renegotiated all across the country right now. Malls are having a tough time of it. Now, Amazon's looking at all this empty mall space and
Yeah.
looking to put filling
Yeah.
facilities, right, fulfillment centers into these malls and actually get some use out of them. So COVID has changed us, I think, in a lot of ways that we're not going to dial back when this is completely over.
Okay, Teddy, okay.
Oh, he'll go up.
You want to come up?
Just take him by the leash because he wants to be on your lap.
You want to come up?
Yeah, he's playing fun with it. But it was a great. I think it was a great debate for Pence.
Yes.
I don't know what the thing with the fly was on his head, but let me tell you something. When CNN and MSNBC and all of those alleged news outlets are spending so much time talking about the fly on Pence's head, you have
Yeah.
that's a pretty good confirmation he won, because they wouldn't be talking about it that much
Right.
if they could be boasting Kamala. I'm telling you, that's the smirking and the giggling, I don't think it did her justice at all.
No, the smirking hurt her a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because especially when they showed the two shots.
yeah.
You could see,
It was it was a
rolling her
lot
eyes.
disrespectful in a lot of the cases. It really
Yep.
was. I mean, the left, hardcore Democrats. I know you're all going to think that it was wonderful and it was perfect expressions, and it really communicated what she was thinking.
It's not going to
But you're
settle well
wrong.
with the undecided
No, actually,
or independents.
so Kuntz there did Leo Huntz or Kuntz Kuntz, one of those pollsters. He was doing 16 undecided from 8 of the states, all virtually, by the way, and they had the immediate meters and so forth. But the point is, and these are people who aren't voting on ideology, right? So then anybody on ideology, you've already either voted or and nothing's going to change your mind. You're set. That's not who we're
Right.
talking about. We're talking about that little sliver of people. And these are the people who tend to vote on style and appearance and who makes them feel better, who they trust, that kind of thing. And Kamala didn't do very well with those people. They didn't feel she was sincere at all. They didn't feel that she was very presidential, whereas Pence got sincerity, and he clearly is very presidential. And his demeanor, his looks, his mannerism.
Oh, he pointed out, I mean, they talked one tale at one time, and now they're talking a different tale.
Well, if you're talking fracking, the fracking
Yeah.
issue, that's huge because she looked at you in the camera last night and said no, and there are just tons of minutes of video of her saying straight out no fracking, of Joe
Right.
Biden saying it, saying that and now they're they're trying to soft pedal this, but it's on videotape, folks, right? It really is. So she lied about that. So she lied about the the packing the court. She wouldn't answer the question on packing the court. And Mike Pence finally said it. He goes, if you haven't figured it out, it's yes. Now, Joe could have very clearly set the record straight today and said no.
They won't answer it.
And I got to tell you something. I'm not even sure that Joe Biden himself is all hot and heavy to pack the court, but he's sure as heck afraid to say so.
I don't think he wants to pack the court, but he doesn't
can't
want to
say
say
it.
that because he knows he will lose a lot of strength on the left, and he needs every single vote he can get on the left.
Look,
You know what
if you
they're most
haven't,
afraid of right now? And they're not saying it neither is the media, the black vote. If he loses, if Trump can get 17% of the black vote,
yeah,
Biden loses.
yeah, they're petrified of the black vote moving just a few points, and the Latino vote.
Yes.
And the fact that the mayor of Puerto Rico just endorsed Trump, that didn't get a lot of play.
No.
Because the MSNBCs and CNNs aren't going to really put that out there. But when you've got Candace Owen out there and Terrell out there, and now you've got Herschel Walker, you got all these people out there saying, "Look, I've known
But
Trump 20, 30
The
years. He's
thing
not a
is,
racist."
Trump has done a lot for the black community.
He's done more for the black community than
Than
any
than
recent
Obama
president.
did.
Absolutely.
And they're saying that. They're saying he's done more than Obama did. And he's only been there for 4 years now. Well, pushing 4 years.
Yeah.
Obama was there for 8.
Yeah.
And-
Well, just look at the pardons he's issued and the things that
Yeah.
he's done for black Americans who have been wronged in the past. What would it have taken for Obama to do those things? Nothing. I
Right.
mean, Obama didn't have the wherewithal or the knowledge or the ability to create the economic opportunity zones. The crime bill could. I mean, not only that, Joe Biden was responsible for the '94 crime bill that was extremely inequitable by race and put young black Americans in prison at ridiculous, alarming rates, in drawing that difference between cocaine and crack type of thing, and that was the issue. And people who don't know what we're talking about,
The thing
the
is that
disparity.
the black community is waking up to the fact that the Democrats have never done anything for you. Why did you always vote for them? And
They've been conditioned.
Joe Biden pointed it out. You ain't black if you're not voting for me. Well, hey, wait a minute now.
Yeah. Well, you can add that to the long list of many of the racist things Joe Biden has said, which including within the last 48 hours about I was allowed to stay safe in my home because the black woman was stocking the shelves.
Yeah, I know.
And And what?
Yeah.
How does that matter? Like, what the fact that it's a black? Why does that make a difference? Their gender or their race?
Well,
It's
don't
someone
forget,
was stacking the shelves. Period.
he's the same guy who said you can't go to a Dunkin' Donuts without an Indian accent.
A 7-Eleven without a
Or
without a
7-Eleven, yeah.
Indian accent. He also is the one who talked about his kids going to school in the jungle. He didn't want them
The
going
racial
to the jungle.
jungle.
And he was also, and this is the interesting thing. Okay, so let's bring it back to Kamala, because this is the debate last night. And let's go back a few months to the Democratic primaries. This is the woman who shredded Joe Biden in the primary.
Oh, did
this
she
is
ever?
the woman who called him a racist.
Yes.
Who brought out his anti-busing, okay,
Yes.
in the Biden Roth amendment. I don't know if she got into that, but she called him a racist on stage, and also that she believed the intern who made the accusation. So, in essence, she said, "I believe you're a racist and a rapist."
Yep.
But she accepted the invitation to be on the ticket with this guy. And why would he ask the woman who shredded him in the primary and called him those two horrific things to run with him? Why? Look, if you haven't figured this out, it's a marriage of convenience. They've entered a pact, and the pact is to get the Oval Office, to get there to November 3rd.
He knows he wouldn't get there because he was supposedly the moderate, leaning to the right. I got to have that left
Well, let's
wing.
call it center, far
Center,
from right.
yeah, center.
Yeah, I'll go with center, not right.
Yeah.
yeah, but he's not that guy.
No.
He's not that guy, and that's why he's very careful. And Trump is absolutely 100% right, folks. Where he says, look, he will not say these things because he will piss off the left. He will alienate the left. He can't lose them. And when he did say a couple of things, he said, "You just lost the left." You know, and we saw it. And last night, when the fracking came out, here's AOC tweeting, actually, fracking is bad.
Yes.
Okay, so
fracking
there's
is
a
bad.
little crack in that marriage right there. But
Yeah.
look, it's
He's also turned on Bernie.
well, the whole Green New Deal thing was up, and Susan Page, the moderator, who, by the way, I'm sorry, did not do a fantastic job. It wasn't out of control the same it was with Chris Wallace, and that's a whole nother discussion. Where, who picks these people? Why are they picked, and why are they always two on the one? Let's put a pin in that for a moment. But she brought it out, and as far as why she's bad, by the way, is because she didn't follow up with either one of them, questioning either one of them when they said something, not calling them out on it, and that's what the moderator should have done. But that of fact, she pointed out that the Green New Deal is on Biden's website. On the website. I mean, this guy has embraced it.
Yeah.
And to say now no, she blatantly lied a couple times, which is why it brought Mike Pence to having to say you're entitled to your opinion, but not your own set of facts. Facts are facts. And she just refused to acknowledge what those facts are.
Hey, if you don't agree with us, give us a call, 508-266-0990. We still got plenty of time here. If you listen to Joe on the weekends, give us a call and say hello. I know I hear the show on the weekends, and I hear people from Northbridge.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of people from this area that listen and participate. And not only do we have the call in, but we've got the messenger system on the social media, but we've implemented a text line, which has been a great thing to add because, and quite honestly, about 30 or 40% of what I get on the text line, I can't say on the air. So
That's one thing about the text line. You can put anything you
people are a
want.
little more blatant on the text line, but you're getting your point across. Yeah.
I mean, even here in Massachusetts, which is a very liberal state, I mean, I wonder sometimes if the governor's a Republican.
Well, that's look at Baker and Rhino in the same sentence is not a novelty.
Right. But we have a lot of strong Trump support in this state.
Yeah, we know. If we can talk about that for a second, because when you look around the country, and all you got to do is go monitor social media a little bit, and there are these incredible, I don't know why flotilla things have become a big thing, right?
Yeah,
Boats.
yeah, they just had one on Lake
Lake
Quinsigamon.
Quinsigamon. I was out there that day. I saw it come together and was out there on the lake that morning or that afternoon. And it's happening all across the country. And these Trump trains and these Trump caravans are forming, and they're not being necessarily formed by the campaign at all. Like that flotilla on Lake Quinsigamon had nothing to do
No,
with
the
the
campaign
campaign.
is not doing this. This is all
It
been
isn't. It's people.
on the spur of the moment.
And they're putting these things together, and they're doing these rallies, and look at what gathered outside of Walter Reed. And that's just, Biden is lacking that. That's not there. That enthusiasm.
The enthusiasm to get out and vote for Trump is got to be way over what it is for Biden.
Absolutely. Because a lot of Biden's vote is anti-Trump vote than
Yes.
it is pro-Biden vote. And by the way, because I mentioned Walter Reed, did you see one of the reps, and I don't have notes in front of me, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering her name, but it's easy enough to look up, then she tweeted that we should defund Walter Reed.
Yeah.
Because it treated the president of the
Yeah.
United States. Because Trump went there as the sitting president. Walter Reed needs to be punished because they should have let the sitting president die.
Yeah. How many sitting presidents have gone to Walter Reed?
Almost every one of them, because
Everyone-
they have.
ever since
First
it's
of all,
been
they all
there.
have their physicals there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ever
they all
since
have
it's
their
been
physicals
there, they've all gone there.
They've all go. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
That's why there is a Ward 71, folks, at Walter Reed. Ward 71 is the presidential suite.
But
It is
this-
a highly secured presidential facility. In other words, it's just another version of the Oval Office at Walter Reed for
Right.
that purpose.
One thing with Trump, the people that love him, it's extreme.
Yeah.
The people that hate him, it's also extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that with someone like that. I mean, Reagan had that situation too.
Yeah, Reagan had such an enthusiasm. I don't think Reagan. I think Trump's.
It's more so.
I really do.
It's
I mean,
more so,
because
but-
Reagan was the first president I got to vote for.
Right.
I mean, so to me, Reagan has always been kind of the barometer for me, the watermark I used for presidents.
Thing with Reagan, he had the personality that he could win you over, like he did.
He had incredible charm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he did with the Speaker of the House.
Tip O'Neill.
Tip O'Neill.
Tip O'Neill. They had a very good working relationship, and they could be at opposite ends. And similar look at and this was great when Pence answered at the very end of the debate, when she, excuse me, she read the question that the students submitted and the girls submitted about seeing all this division and hate and animosity. How can we do it if we're politicians? And I thought how he answered it was better than Kamala, and he took that opportunity to look at Anthony Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Yep.
and that they were literally polar opposites on the court, yet privately in their social lives, both them and their families enjoyed the holidays together, New Year's together, operas together. There was an
Yeah.
opera written about their friendship.
Yeah.
And
extreme
that's the way
friendship.
it's supposed to
they
be.
very much liked it when they had a lot of shit, a lot of interest.
Yeah, yeah.
But when they go into the court, they
They did what they thought
Yeah.
their job was, and this is why this whole argument over confirming Judge Barrett is whether it's Kamala or Joe saying, well, let the people the people voting right, they're voting and speak. They did
right.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
They voted and made Donald Trump the president for
And-
4
and-
years.
and made the
not
Senate-
for 3 years,
And
11
gave
months.
the Senate, the Republicans, the Senate.
Yeah, so they've already spoken, and it is. Oh, and by the way, while we're on this, let's point out the fact that Kamala's story about Abe Lincoln is absolutely made up.
What's that?
She said, she gave this the rift on Lincoln and gave this little great story about how 27 days before the election, his election, that there was an opening. In other words, same situation.
Oh, okay.
And that Honest Abe, that's her words, that Honest Abe said, no, it isn't right. I'm going to let the people vote and let that, whoever the next president is, me or whoever, fill that. Wrong. It just didn't happen.
Right.
The history shows us that the Senate wasn't in session when that did happen. The seat did open up. Senate wasn't in session. It was controlled by his party. Everything was true except the reasoning. He couldn't because the Senate wasn't in session. And when it did come into session, he did nominate Chase, and Chase was confirmed.
Yes, he was.
So she just absolutely.
There again now, back then if the Senate was out of session, it's not easy to bring them back because they were home.
Yeah, right. It could take days, weeks, or a month
Yeah.
for you to get to session.
Yeah,
This was a different world, of course. So yeah, it was a major thing. They literally met and everything got done, and then they returned to their families.
They went back home.
And it waited. So that's why they couldn't. It's not like today the Senate can just call session back in.
Right.
You hop on a plane and you're there. It doesn't work that way. So what Kamala said about that whole thing is complete falsehood.
Unbelievable what they make up. But the thing is, they say, well, how about 4 years ago that it wasn't allowed? Well, wait a minute.
Merrick Garland.
No,
the nomination?
the reappointment. Yeah, I forgot his name now. The last appointment to the Supreme Court.
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the difference is that the Republicans held the Senate, and Obama's pick wasn't going to get voted on. It wasn't going to get voted for. So what's the difference? That's why the head of the Senate, the majority leader, said no. Because why bother? Okay, we have the vote and he loses. What do we gain by that? He's going to lose anyway.
Yeah, which is why when Mitch McConnell talks about if it's the president and the Senate are of the same party, we'll do it. If they're not, it's not going to come together.
Right.
They don't have the votes, and it's very important that the Senate also maintains majority Republican because mathematically, I'm looking at there could be a tie there, and that's not a good thing, especially if for some strange reason Joe Biden did win and Kamala Harris became the deciding vote as president of the Senate.
Exactly.
Just not cool. Now, this news that or teaser that Nancy Pelosi's putting out there today about making stay tuned for tomorrow, and they're going to announce some kind of congressional commission on presidential fitness or something.
The 26th Amendment.
25th Amendment.
25th,
but that 25th Amendment has nothing to do with Congress. It's implemented by the president themselves.
Yes.
And I don't know if people realize the 25th is used on a regular basis, and most presidents have used it at some point because, Reagan had to use it when he went into surgery and the colonoscopy or whatever. If they're going under anesthesia and they're out of it, they write 2 letters. The first letter transfers the powers and authority of the office to the president, and the second letter returns it back to him.
Yep.
And then the other way that it can be invoked is the cabinet deciding that they need to vote and they remove it. And that's meant for a situation when something happens, like the president takes a heart attack, God forbid anything like that happens. He didn't have the foresight to know that he needed to do this. So he's in emergency
he takes
surgery.
A heart attack and he's incapacitated.
Something. So they do it very quickly, and they move the power of the office to the VP. When he's recovered, then they return it back to the president. So that's what it's not meant for Congress.
Right.
Congress is supposed to stay in your own lane. Right? Our founding fathers gave every branch
Each
certain
branch
responsibility.
is separate. It's 3 separate branches, and each was responsible for its own ruling and management.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So she's going to try to remove this guy in literally the 11th hour of his first term.
I mean, she was talking about doing another impeachment. For what?
But see, I hope that people realize that the last impeachment and any impeachment is all for political reasons, has nothing to do
Well, it's
with
coming
high
out
crimes.
now. It was on Russia,
Yeah.
and now we're finding out that it was all perpetrated by none other than Hillary Clinton.
Who started this apparently as nothing more than a distraction to get off her
Of her
criminality.
email.
her, you're right, the criminality surrounding her email. And it was
Yeah.
just meant to be a distraction, and it kind of got away.
Yeah.
I mean, the media ran with it, and it blew up. And she's going to be sitting back going, oh, my goodness, I had no idea. This just meant to be a little thing, to make it noisy, and nobody's paying attention to I broke the law and defied court orders and committed perjury and all of the things that we now know that her and her staff did.
I mean, the thing is, they actually destroyed files, computers.
They took
phones.
hammers to the devices, Harry.
Yeah.
They took hammers to the
I know.
devices.
And
Then now we find out this is going on in the Mueller investigation.
yeah.
When they wipe their phones
And then
and
how
clean
come
their phones.
there's nothing said about this?
Yeah.
How come the press doesn't stay on this?
No, then we're told, okay, we don't want to come out with the report because it could be so close to the election because it could be considered political. My point there is, if you have something that is this serious, not coming out before the election is actually worse.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving the American people the knowledge, the information that they should have to make decisions. It's exactly the opposite of what they're claiming it to be. I'm sorry, but I want to know. I want to know all of the crimes that our elected officials
if it's on
committed.
Republicans, they put it out before the election.
Or make it up.
Or make it up, yes. But
Reid. What about Reid and Mitt Romney's taxes?
Yeah, just made it up.
Made it up. Just walked out and said on the phone, oh, he hasn't paid his taxes. Absolutely. And the media didn't look into it. They just ran with the story that Mitt Romney didn't pay. When he was called on the carpet about this later, he said, you had no information. You're claiming an anonymous source, and you happened to answer the phone in your office that day?
Yeah.
And all Reid's response was, well, he didn't win, did he?
No, he did. No. So can we?
So the end justifies those
yeah.
means.
And he says, I don't care. I'm glad I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't prosecute him because he did it on the Senate floor.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Oh, here we go, Joe. Okay.
Oh, we got a call. So 508-266-0990.
Go ahead, you're on the air.
How
How you doing, Harry?
All right. Hi, Tom.
Yeah, very interesting. You got a good show going on here.
Thank you.
I got a question for you guys. What? Tell me the exact time that Trump became a racist. Because if I'm not mistaken, when he was living in New York, he used to donate a lot of money to the Democrats.
He did.
Yes, he did.
He gave a lot of Tom is his name?
Yeah.
Tom. He gave a lot of money away to all politicians because as a developer and businessman in New York, he understood the game. And he said it straight out, of course I did. And they said, well, what did that get you? And he said, they did what I said. And they said, what do you mean? He said, well, when my daughter was getting married, I told Hillary Clinton, you're going to be there. No questions. You're there. And
Yep.
she was.
Because I've always been curious about that, because I've never heard anybody call him a racist
No.
until he became president.
Well, Tom, you're 100% right. Not only did they not call him a racist, but you had the Jesse Jacksons and the activists, including Martin Luther King's niece, praising him and him getting awards for the
Well,
work
she
that
still
he did.
praises him.
Still praises him, and giving him awards for the work he did in the inner cities. And Herschel Walker going to Disneyland with the guy. No,
I've
he
seen
wasn't a
Herschel
racist
Walker,
until he decided to run against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, when you listen to Herschel Walker, he's well spoken.
I'm sorry, sir?
Well, Herschel Walker's
Oh.
well spoken.
Herschel Walker has been, I think, has just been a fantastic surprise and asset to the Trump campaign.
Oh, yeah. You know, they come out and they show what he's actually done.
Yeah.
They don't make accusations.
Can we jump on this for a second? Because I'm
Yeah.
glad that Mike Pence last night directly addressed the Charlottesville lie. And when she, again, made reference to it, and Joe saying the reason he ran is because of Trump saying that, and Pence put it out there and he said, the comment that the media has run with about there are good people on both sides was in direct relation to the argument of removing statues and monuments. And then he even went on to say, and this is the part that they drop, that neo-Nazis and white nationalists are condemning them. They don't bring that in. So they've created this narrative that he said something that he did not say.
Right.
He said it, but it's like you saying something now, Harry, and then 20 minutes from me using that in another context and making you sound like a racist or a bigot. That's exactly, and for 3 years, they perpetuated this falsehood, and it's just not the case. And look at the racial tension and the people who have been hurt and the businesses that have been hurt because of this lie that the media has perpetuated, and it's an absolute lie. And I'm so sick of hearing Charlottesville, and everybody who says this, you're ignorant of the facts. And Pence called her out on it, and the BBC even fact-checked it and went with Pence today.
Yeah. Because when you fact-check it, you find out it's true.
It's true. And I just say, if you are telling me he said that about the racists and the neo-Nazis, go watch the tape. You can get it. Go read the transcript. You can get it. And then come have the conversation. But I know you won't come back to me.
Right.
Because it didn't happen the way it's...
Well, the thing is, if you say to someone over and over, how come you don't put that, and he has to keep repeating it over and over, then it looks like he is and he's lying.
Yeah.
If they should do that
Look,
with Joe Biden on fracking.
Well, no, actually, should do it with Joe Biden on the racial issue. How come nobody's asked Joe Biden to condemn them and then ask him what did he mean by all of these racial comments that he's made, from the black lady stalking to the jungle to the busing to the 7-Eleven comment to the first clean, articulate black candidate. I mean, all of these things that poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
And he does this in a sincere way, so you know he believes it.
Sincere way. This tells you how his mind's working.
Yeah.
It's telling you how his mind's working. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, last night I didn't have a chance to watch the debate because we didn't have electricity. So
I heard that.
I missed it. So
Well,
I got it on the radio.
Yeah, you can go back and I'm sure you can watch it online. But you know what I did do is I record the audio part of it, so in case I ever want to pull a clip for my show. So I have it, and I'm thinking I should probably throw that up on my website or something if somebody wants, because there's not much difference in the vice presidential, but I got to tell you something, Harry, Tom, go back, and if you watch the presidential debate, go listen to it. Don't watch it, just listen to the audio.
Yep.
It's a very different debate.
Yes.
It's a very different debate. You're going to hear things you didn't hear. Well, you always do the second time anyway. But you realize Joe Biden actually was the first to interrupt.
Yes, he was.
And you hear, it's a better to listen to, okay? And by the way, because the moderator said at one point that Pence was getting majority of the time, the numbers came out this morning. Actually, Kamala got more airtime than Mike Pence did
because
last
the
night.
moderator was giving her more airtime.
And the questions were slanted. She did not follow up. She allowed falsehoods to be said without questioning them at all. We established earlier that the Commission on Presidential Debates is a very biased organization. It's not fair. You know it by the people who are on the board, and then you look at the people they select for monitors of these debates. Why do these campaigns? Why does the Trump campaign, the Romney campaign, even McCain? Why do they agree to these people? They should really have either one a conservative, one a liberal, or get somebody who's not politically motivated by anything. You know, look at Joe Rogan, right? There's a guy, you don't know where he's going to go with it. He's not highly biased in one of these things. There are people out there who can do a much better job in being a lot fairer on the handling of these debates.
It's kind of sad to see the way this country's going. I mean, I hear these people they call them a fascist or something like that. The ones that are fascists are like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They're the fascists.
Don't you find the irony in naming yourself anti-fascists
I know,
Yet,
when you are.
you're ripping your playbook out of fascism. I mean, I have likened on my show many times, and when a lot of these things come up, I'm saying this is extremely airy because it's very reminiscent of 1930s Germany in the brown shirts.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
called themselves anti-fascists.
And they absolutely did. Look, when we see what's going on in mob rule, and mob rule isn't a good rule, folks. Mob rule is not justice. All right, mob justice isn't justice. And when we see district attorneys and prosecutors changing their minds on prosecuting or not prosecuting because they're harassed, how is that an American justice system?
Right.
And we can look at example after example of this. And the guy who just committed suicide over his self-defense shooting, they weren't going to charge him. And they harassed the prosecutor till he turned around and brought the charges up. And look at the rush to charge these officers before the system has a chance to play out. And there is a system. There's an investigation. There's an indictment. There's a prosecution. There's a jury trial. This is the American system. But if the victim happens to be of color, and I'm saying this because it doesn't matter if it's racially motivated. If you look at a lot of these examples, if the victim happens to be of color, it automatically, by default, becomes a racist incident. Yet race had nothing to do with
I
it.
think the trouble with a lot of people, they don't study their history. They don't know history. If people really studied socialism or communism, whatever you want to call it, the one that's like Joseph Stalin, all the men that put him into power ended up being killed.
Well, in the colleges now, Tom, they're getting taught socialism.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
better.
but
Not
how to
accurately.
overthrow the
Not
government.
accurately.
That's
They're
wonderful.
being taught that's better.
Right. They're getting this fantasy, this idyllic representation of socialism on paper. Look, on paper, everything is fine, right?
Yeah.
And capitalism has a lot of its issues and problems, first to admit it. It's still the best system out there. It's risen more people out of poverty. It's created more wealth. It created more freedoms and opportunities than any other system we have. So it's the best system we have. Not perfect, but the best. And when we look at the millions of lives lost to communism, how can you embrace this? I just don't understand it. But it does come back to the indoctrination in the school system.
All set, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all set. That was a good show.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you guys take it easy.
All
Thank
right.
you, Tom.
Yeah.
Obviously a regular caller, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know Tom well.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
But,
Tune in Saturday and Sunday mornings on WCRN then.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, early Saturday morning.
6 to 8 a.m. Yeah, I'm an early guy, and you can catch me on Thursdays at 11 as well on Jerry Doherty's show, Making Money Last. And then I go on other shows around the country.
Yeah.
I'll be a guest on something somewhere, but that happens by invitation, and I don't know when. I usually post about it. So you can follow me on the website, on the Facebook, but it's Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that.
Joe's been around radio for many, many years now.
Yeah, 34 years.
Within the Boston market, the
Yeah.
Worcester market.
Well, Rhode Island to New
Rhode
Hampshire. I mean, I've stayed in New England.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been on a lot of different stations and different networks. Like, I joke about this in radio, Harry, that there's only 100 of us that work in radio.
You just move
and we just
around.
keep moving around. And so you go at a station, you work with this guy and that lady and the engineer here, and then you're at another station and the same engineer, or, and I've had situations, somebody I've worked with, and then I've become the GM or VP and GM of a station, and I've hired people I've worked with, and I've had to fire people that I've worked with, and it's a wonderful business, a great industry. I
Well, the
love it.
technology has changed a lot
Absolutely.
now. And you can run a station with
Your laptop.
Yeah, with
I
your
mean,
laptop.
you
You don't
know.
have to go in.
Yeah, and even us, I mean, even today, I had a conversation with the station about some of the new equipment and technology coming in. so that, not that I already can't do this, but I mean, I have a home studio, I have a home office, but I could do my show from my home studio
Yeah.
all the time. I do like to go in, not that I won't take advantage of that in New England weather sometimes. And getting up at 3:30 in the morning with, foot and a half of snow, makes you glad you have that ability. But I like it. I do have guests come in, and they're physically coming in, and that's fine. I mean, for the guests that are calling in and stuff, it doesn't matter there either. But I do like that feeling, of going in the studio, having the producer on the other side of the glass.
Oh, yeah.
And being there. I like that, but I love the idea that technology lets you do it.
Well, there
from
are
home.
shows on WCRN where the
Yeah,
the host never comes in.
Never end, right? We never see them.
Right.
They don't even know where the station is.
I know.
So, yeah, it happens.
That's the technology. Same with this station here. It could actually be programmed from home.
Yeah.
Or the internet.
And
Internet
the
makes it all
interesting
possible.
thing is a lot of our hosts, right, that are, on regular shows on CRN, will eventually, we all end up putting studios in our home.
Yeah.
Because we realize that what I'm doing here, it's a microphone, a headset, and my computer, and I can do that anywhere. And so, Jerry is just building a studio in his house, basically all of us that are been there for a while and normal, have regular set shows all the time, most of us have opted to put a studio
Saves you
in
from
them.
traveling.
Yeah. So,
But something else that's changed too because of the internet. WCRN is a 50,000 watt station, so one of the biggest in New England. But now, because of the internet, it doesn't matter what your wattage is because people can listen to you anywhere in the world.
and we have, I have a lot of listeners apparently streaming, because we stream live on TuneIn, and some of them, and I found this out, finally they had messaged me just a few weeks ago that there's another station near them, like at 840 or something, and they bleed too much in, and they can't get it, but they want to hear it, so they use the TuneIn app. And the other thing I do is I stream on Facebook Live.
Yep.
So if you're on my Facebook page, there's a camera in the corner. It's not a big production. It's I mean, this is kind of, you just have 3 cameras and they're very nice.
Right.
I just have a little digital camera in the corner. But what's important is the audio. So you have the option of just clicking on the Facebook page, and you don't have to. It's just a set camera in the studio. You get to see me, maybe Teddy, hanging out on the counter. He doesn't like to stay in the chair anymore. He gets up on the console. But the audio's there, so you
Yes.
can hear the show. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to hear it. And then it's a podcast. I put it up online after.
I
Anyway.
have the Amazon Alexa.
You can tell that.
And I-
Listen to
Alexa,
WCRN.
play WCRN, and it comes up.
Mhm.
And its clarity is unbelievable.
Excuse me. That's the other thing, is because the internet, it's not subject to, AM is very subjected to sunspots
Oh, all
and
kinds
all
of,
kinds of interference, which is
yeah.
going under the bridge, all that stuff. And which is why a lot of times, you get in nowadays, right? You get in your car and your phone syncs up, and so I get in and I put it in a cradle, and it's onto the radio, and,
Yep.
and I listen to my own station on streaming.
Yeah.
And when you get somewhere, I pick the phone up, right, and I pop in. I keep an earpiece. I pop the earpiece in and go shop, and I don't miss anything.
Yeah, you don't miss a thing.
Yeah. So a lot of people listen via the streaming, and that's good.
And new cars now are coming with the internet built into the car.
Look, people talk about, radio is done, and no, it's never going to be done. It's always going to be there. It's just the technology will change and catch up. Last year there were almost 14 million cars sold, right? And
Yep.
I look at that and I see 14 million radios were sold
Yes.
with wheels.
Yeah, well, that's, if you go back into the 50s, the radio was an option.
Yeah,
Now, every car has a radio in it.
yeah, but not just a radio. They have the Bluetooth sync and the internet,
Yes.
and it's all integrated. And
Yep.
you can unlock your car from your smartphone. You can start the car from anywhere on the planet. I mean, it's just a very different world.
It
Yeah.
is. Technology is unbelievable. I couldn't dream of the technology we got today.
Look at what I excuse me. When they first started in this business, the technology, if you wanted to do a remote broadcast, right, your station, first of all, your station had a sales force of half a dozen people. It had 3 people at least, maybe 5 in the newsroom. And then you had all the different
Yep.
full-time air personalities and fill-in, right? That doesn't happen today. And if you wanted to do a remote, it was a big deal. You had a station van, and that had an engineer that had to go out to the car dealership or whatever, and it had a Marty, what we call the Marty system, with a telescoping antenna. It was a production.
Yes.
And it cost thousands of dollars for you to do a remote. You can do a remote off your laptop. I actually have a little matrix thing that I can plug into my phone and plug in a couple microphones, clip it on my belt, and just it becomes a remote broadcast. So a remote now, I mean, is very easy to do with the technology. And the internet, unlike the phone, allows broadcast quality. As I was saying earlier about the Zoom call, is why I use that, is because the person sounds like they're in the studio with me. And on a telephone line, the old telephone lines, or even on your cell phone, you have your 60 hertz, you cut off, and you've got the copper. With the internet, it's all the digital, it's broadcast quality, it's a much bigger band, so it doesn't matter. So if you're in your studio and you're sending, as a matter of fact, folks, the audio at these stations, there are very few towers, transmitters are located at the actual studio. The
Right.
studios are wherever you want to be,
Could be
and
miles
the transmitter
away.
is sitting somewhere up on a
Miles
hill
away.
or out in the
Yeah.
swamp somewhere with the tower, and you have to send that all the way in, and that's usually done through a T1 line, right? So you don't have that cutoff, or you're doing it now through the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're simulcasting out of WACE
Yeah,
in Chicopee
there you go.
via the internet.
Right. So whatever we're doing in a studio in Westboro, Massachusetts, is airing not just on our towers at 8:30 a.m., but they're also, 28, 30 miles away, airing on AM 730 towers out
Yeah.
in Chicopee. And that beautiful 1948 studio out there is just sitting empty. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Hey, we gotta go, Joe.
Already.
Yeah.
Quick. That was fast. Thank you. Well, folks,
Joe's gonna be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right before the election.
Yeah, just before the election. Next week, I got Jeannie Hebert. We're going to talk. She's bringing some guests. We're going to talk about the education center that she's developed down there at the Blackstone Valley Chamber. But
Nice.
Joe, you'll be in just before the election, and
Good.
we'll see how things are going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how
look,
they may
I mean,
turn out.
2 weeks in 2020 politics,
It's an eternity.
it's an eternity, and goodness knows, because I got to tell you, the October surprise we got with the president coming down with COVID is the biggest October surprise in the history of October
Yes.
surprises.
Yeah, really.
So
And who knows what's coming next?
who knows what's coming next, because especially if the media starts to pay attention to the actual real news.
Yeah.
Amazing what could happen.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, and whether A.G. Barr or one of his agents drop one of these reports again, look, if you really want to bypass the liberal media, you can go right to these websites of the agencies, the White House, the AG's office, Department of Homeland Security, and go look at the press releases on their websites, the ones that the media has access to. You have access to that. Go get your news from them. You don't need the CNNs and the NBCs of the world.
hey, we got to go.
Sorry.
See you next week.
Thank you.